What's the most disrespectful thing someone's done in your own home? My wife Karen 45 female and I 48 male have been married for 5 years. She has a son Dylan 22 male from her previous relationship. While Dylan and I have never been particularly close, I've always treated him well. I supported him financially during college, celebrated his milestones and made sure he felt like part of the family. After graduating, Dylan moved back in with us temporarily while job hunting. Things were fine at first, but over the past month he started hanging out with some new friends he claimed were into pranks. I didn't think much of it, until 2 weeks ago when Karen was out of town visiting her sister, and Dylan decided to make me his target. I work from home and had a major presentation scheduled for that morning, one I had been preparing for weeks. When I walked into my home office that morning, I found everything, my computer, files, notebooks, and even my office chair, completely wrapped in layer after layer of duct tape. At first I thought it was some kind of joke, but as I tried to undo the damage, I realized how bad it really was. The tape was stuck so tightly that it destroyed several of my files when I tried to peel it off. My presentation was in shambles and I had to scramble to salvage what I could. When I confronted Dylan, his response floored me. He laughed and said, "It's just a joke. Chill out." I couldn't believe it. I told him this wasn't a joke, it was my career, my livelihood, and his lack of respect was unacceptable. He rolled his eyes, brushed me off, and muttered that I was being dramatic. By the time Karen came home, I was still furious. I told her everything that happened and made it clear that I didn't feel comfortable living with someone who showed me, and my work, so little respect. I told Dylan he needed to move out. He packed a bag and left to stay with a friend. That's when the real conflict began. Karen was livid. She told me I was being too harsh, that Dylan is just a kid and made a dumb mistake. She insisted that I was overreacting and letting my pride get in the way of forgiveness. Dylan eventually called to apologize, but it felt half-hearted, like he was only doing it because Karen pressured him. I told Karen that while I appreciated the apology, this wasn't about pride, it was about respect. Dylan is 22, not 12. He's old enough to understand that actions have consequences, and I wasn't willing to let this slide. Karen, however, sees it differently. She thinks I'm punishing her son for a mistake and putting my frustrations above family. Now, we're at a stalemate. Dylan is still staying with his friend, and Karen has barely spoken to me since. She says I've created a wedge between us and that I've pushed her son away. I feel like I did the right thing by standing my ground, but now I'm questioning if I went too far.